Hey everyone, Erin here, your hostess with the mostest, and welcome back to Becoming Me, the weekly vlog thingy that I do, but I don't upload it weekly because I'm far too busy to do it, apparently. And, well, last week I was doing kind of a lightning round type thing, and I like that. Also, there's a lot going on this week. So I'm going to go ahead and do that again. And let's see what's on the agenda. Life has been coming at me fast. And that's kind of why last week I even forgot to do HRT in the week. Whoops. It was kind of like sprinkled throughout. But this week, if I'm remembering what's going on, well, one big thing, I don't think that I have breasts, but I definitely do have the butts, like I was saying before. But one thing I noticed that was really new and interesting was I was kind of rushing down the stairs and bouncing, and I could feel like weight on my chest going up and down, and that was a very new sensation that was very welcoming and pleasing to me. And then also, I was working at this one store, it was like a grocery store, that I used to work at all the time. And then, like, I wasn't working there for a couple months or something. But the thing is I still was working there while I was transitioning. But I ran into this guy, and he asked me about my job and what I was doing. And then he was like, oh, there's this skinny guy that used to come in here all the time doing exactly what you're doing. And I was just like, oh, well, we do have a lot of people in our company. And I thought that was really funny. Because I'm pretty sure he was talking about me before I transitioned. Or before I started my transition anyway. And then the other thing was kind of like, I only get it sometimes, but also I don't really have the best sense of smell. But I think that, like, I smell a little different than I used to. And that's one of the things that HRT will affect too. Like, your pheromones and things smell differently, and you sweat differently too. So I'm really looking forward to that, because I would have hated to been like, well, I mean, I'm not gonna be like a hot girl or anything, but be like a really hot girl and then just sweat and it's awful, like you're a guy or something. I think that's all I can really remember from this week involving HRT stuff and just body changing and things like that. Considering I don't really like how my voice is kind of coming out right now, I think I'll probably go into the next topic. But oh wait, before I do that, yeah, I put on makeup again, trying to do it every time, and it's kind of hard to like get it started. But I actually was trying to like have fun and use this unicorn, like really crazy colorful eyeshadow that my wife gifted to me. And when I was applying it, it was just kind of sparkly and gray. Like, I didn't get any of the colors. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but it's just wasn't working. So this week started with me seeing this particular tweet, and it just kind of got worse from there. There's literally been so many terrible things and people saying awful things and just bad shit this week. It's unbelievable. And a lot of it I'm not even going to go over or even touch, but like, this really set off the badness. There was, I guess, some like blogger prank people, I forget the culture, what it's called, but then they like had a really hot cis girl wear a really big strap on with a dildo, and then like sweatpants or something out in public, and they're like making really big mockery of what it's like to be trans, and they make it look like it's shocking but funny and enjoyable. And like most trans people that I've ran into, and myself including, if we're not like wanting sexual reassignment surgery down there, we're probably wearing something that makes the bulge kind of not as noticeable, or we're like tucking, which is what I do, where I can wear like really skin tight leggings and you can't see anything. Believe me, people have tried. I'm probably gonna go ahead and show just a little bit of this, but without like the music. I don't know if it like will copyright or something, or maybe like up in the corner. I don't know, but like I'll show it and you guys can kind of see for yourself. When I was looking at it, I was thinking like this kind of comedy would be, I guess, considered funny in like the mid to late 90s or something as mainstream. But now it's just grossly offensive. And it's not just like the updated like PC culture things that people like to throw around. Because in a lot of ways, all that is people calling you out on how terrible you are. Billionaires and whatever people. But like, it's just really, really upsetting when I think about so many trans women that are out in public that are afraid to like show their face or like be sociable or anything like that. And here's this cis woman that's wearing like a dildo thing, and she's just strutting like stupidly. Obviously it's a skit, and these people are just kind of like, oh my god, but they're not like being mean about it. They're not like yelling at them and like throwing death threats and things like that. And then there's even this one part where like people are getting down and like putting their face right next to it and like smiling and like kissing it. And it's like really uncomfortably weird, like that this kind of goes along with the whole thing that people see trans people as like less than human or subhuman. That because someone is trans, then all of a sudden now their genitals are fair game. Whereas if that was a man with a really big dick and someone was down there like kissing it and licking it through the clothes, that would be considered like pornographic and at least like really, really wrong and offensive to most people, even if it was just like a funny skit, like a guy born with a really big dick or something. Or if it was a cis woman and someone was like, well, essentially grabbing her by it, and people find it funny. Like, it makes no sense. But again, because I know like I used to be from that environment, and that's what media had cultivated, you know, trans people as being, was some kind of like glorified drag queen cross-dressing thing, that I would have found something like that funny. Probably. More than likely, I probably would have just wished that I could be that. If I haven't shown the clip, I'll go ahead and show it now, and then we'll just kind of watch and cringe together, I guess. So, here we go. And we're back. Wasn't that funny? Wasn't that great? Did it make anyone else really uncomfortable? Alright, there is a lot of terrible shit to go through. So, I'm just gonna keep going. Let's see what the next thing is on the agenda. I don't know if people will still be doing this when this actually gets uploaded, but right now, everyone is really kind of taking a piss out on J.K. Rowling. And for good reason. But, like, a lot of people have, after they've become bigger and, I guess, I don't know, maybe more scrutiny is on them, but, like, then they're just really terrible things that they've done or said come to light. And there's some importance of, like, separating a work from the artist. As long as, like, the work doesn't explicitly show the bad stuff, I think. Cause, like, and I'll show some of the tweets, but, like, there was a tweet where Notch, the guy that bought, I think, Infiniminer and then made it into Minecraft and then split, and it's just been basement dwelling, like, hate-filled person on Twitter all the time now. They were like, I'm not using the wrong pronoun, you're using the wrong pronouns. Ugh. And it's just very transphobic. And people, it's like, okay, Notch, you're not trans. You don't really need to try and dictate, like, how other people are. Even when modern medical science, like, provides plenty of evidence for the existence of trans people, you're still just gonna sit there and be like, no, you have a penis, or you have a vagina, and you can't be this, you can't be that. As in, like, what the fuck is non-binary? You know, stuff like that. And I just hate that people like to reduce each other just to genitals. And I've always hated that. And I probably have gone over that a couple of times in the past. I shouldn't, like, go into that now because I have so much to talk about. But, then another one was the creator, and I don't even remember his name at this point, of Earthworm Jim. And when I was growing up, like, I really liked that game and the TV show. I liked the characters, I liked all of, like, the weird, like, out there-ness that it brought. It had a very, like, freakazoid vibe. And people, like, I think really latched onto that. But here he is talking about how, like, trans people don't actually exist. They have a mental disorder. They shouldn't be encouraged. All that kind of crap. I don't remember exactly. Maybe next time when I'm doing this, I should really pull up the tweets so I know verbatim that I'm saying what I'm supposed to be saying. But, then there was, like, a comment that replied that I thought was really, you know, interesting that I didn't know, or at least I knew, but I suppressed it because I'd forgotten it or something. That's that earthworms are hermaphroditic. So they're neither male or female. And here's this guy who made, like, I guess his big career debut with Earthworm Jim, and he's being transphobic. What are the odds? Well, looking at Notch and, like, Earthworm Jim, it's okay to kind of, like, easily separate the creators from their creations. First of all, Notch didn't create Minecraft, really. He just kind of fiddled with Infiniminer, or at least that's what I know. And then the creator of Earthworm Jim obviously created the characters in the world and stuff like that. But with people like J.K. Rowling, it's a bit more difficult. And also, like, there's been some tweets pointing out specifically how messed up and bad, like, the actual underground, like, underlying themes of Harry Potter really are for, like, a modern world. And I won't really get into that. But there's an importance that if you like something and the person who made it is, like, totally shit, and the reasons you like it are not like aligned with what that person feels or thinks. I think you should be okay liking that thing and enjoying that thing. But then there's also cases where the thing that the person has made or created is the problematic stuff. And that's kind of what things are happening now in like YouTube and stuff. And I don't think I put a note in here, but yeah, I'm probably gonna end up talking about the New Zealand shooting. Sorry. Oh well. Let's get on to the next topic, because my voice is already dying. I always, I guess, complain about my age and how I missed so many years and my body has developed, things like that. But one thing that is nice about when I started transitioning is that I already had a bit of financial independence and autonomy. A lot of trans people don't have that, even when they are like up around where my age is. And that's a pretty terrible place to be, because when you're trans and people can be transphobic to you, like, there's people in higher parts of government that are dictating, you know, our lives and this and that. But, like, you can have people that are living with you that basically are dictating how you can exist. And that's what I'm talking about now, because I saw, like, this GoFundMe started for this one trans girl, I believe. And, like, what was going on is they said, you know, I'm trans. And instead of like their parents supporting them with that, their parents decided that they want to kick them out and leave them without pretty much anything. So they have to kind of fend for themselves. And then, like, I saw a reply to this tweet that said, like, I see it in your profile, you're 17 or 16, I don't remember which age it is. And if they do that, then they can be held accountable for doing that to, like, a minor and stuff like that. And, well, their parents thought of that, and they were waiting until after, like, their 18th birthday to officially throw them out, so that they wouldn't be, like, within that. And that just seems like a really shitty, ugly thing to do to your own child. Again, I'm really thankful that I didn't have to deal with my mom possibly using some form of discipline when I first told her, like, if I was still under her roof, and she's like, oh, are you trans? Are you sure about that? Do you want dinner tonight? You know, like, things like that. And that's a really shitty situation to put anyone in. But, I guess I don't really have much else I can say to this right now. Just, I'm gonna go ahead and show the link. It'll be in the description, and I guess I'll show it on screen too. If you have the opportunity and a little bit of, like, extra money, go ahead and donate to their GoFundMe, so that when they get thrown out of the house, they're not just gonna be on the street, that they can kind of recoup and continue living. Please do that. Alright, and next topic. Okay, this next topic is gonna be like a special shout out to my friend Majid at Versus a Game. Hey, she sends me little things of supportive trans like topics, movies, and things like that, and I really appreciate it. And one of them that she sent recently was this little clip of testimonies from trans people within the military, talking about when the ban of trans people was first, like, enacted or was about to be enacted. Yeah, for those that aren't familiar with that, basically the president was trying to make it so that transgender people couldn't be allowed in the military. And ones that were, I guess, in the military are being stripped of their veteran rights or not. I'm going to put a disclaimer, don't quote me on that. A lot of what they were talking about was really powerful and emotional to me. It was like some of the things they said show that when it comes down to like soldiers and things like that, there really is no difference like between a trans person and a cis person. But people try to make it that somehow they're hurting the army, that somehow the army is now weaker because of it. And in a lot of cases, like the testimonies were also proving, and I didn't think about this, when you're trans, the majority of the world and all the media and everything that you've seen shows that this is something that you're not. And what's weird is like it's the most sophisticated, highest levels of like biology research and things like that. It actually disproves this large common sense that's everywhere around the world. And for many trans people, myself included, it's like the world is saying, no, you're not this, you'll never be this, but I am it anyway, and I'm being authentic to myself. And one of the trans people on there is talking about how when you're being yourself, when you're being authentically you, like other people, they feel that too. Because I think that whether you're trans or cis or anything, really, everyone kind of puts up with a bunch of superficial bullshit in life and in society. And they're not always true to themselves. They're not always thinking about like what they actually need or what they actually want. And it's kind of difficult, I think, to really think of an example or an explanation around what that would be or how that is. But in the terms of what was going on in this video, it was a nurse, and or not necessarily a nurse, it was a doctor. And doctors, they often kind of have moments of vulnerability with their patients and talking to them. And when people are like that close, they feel more secure. It's somebody that's being themselves. Like, I imagine that if I were a doctor and trans, someone might, well, of course I'm trans, but someone when they first like might come up to me, they're like, oh, wait, you're trans? I really don't feel comfortable with that. But then after like they are talking to me about their problems and like communicating with me, like the truth just kind of like melts away their like bigotry and just like any kind of hang-ups or worries that they might have had about who I am or what like I can do. Really, it's just kind of like when people say, you know, smiles are contagious and things like that, but you don't want to do fake smiles. Like, be true to how you're feeling. Don't just hurt yourself by putting up like some superficial attitude or whatever in order to like help somebody else. Because I think in a lot of cases what ends up happening is you're putting up a fake smile for someone else who's putting up another fake smile for you, and you're both not like being, and I'm kind of simplifying it with like the whole fake smile thing, but what I mean is that so often people are just not themselves when they want to be. And they feel this pressure like that they can't be in whatever situation. And when you are yourself, despite whatever like circumstances, especially ones against you being yourself, like that's extremely powerful and inspiring. And I think that that really helps like bring out the better in other people and see that they can be authentically themselves too, which is a lot of reasons why I think that so many people see being transgender as just an epidemic or an ideology. And it's because like so many people are going through life and digging through gender and trying to find out like who they are. And even though the vast majority are cis, because it's more or less like it's very, very uncommon to be trans, but also I think that accepting yourself as trans or accepting yourself as non-binary is something that's harder to do just because we're raised like from the get-go as being a gender and then just force-feeding all of those stereotypes down our throat. Again, I'm going off so many tangents. I'm really bad at this. It's okay. It's my show. I don't care. I do care. Don't take that out of context. Yeah, the military video was very, very emotional, and I wish that I could really like want to fight for a cause and like actually do that. And I think that in a lot of ways I do, but I never really had the opportunity or feeling like I can go and do a march or go to a protest and do this and that. But I have always kind of wanted to do that. It also got me thinking, like, when people are fighting for our country, fighting for the idealism of what like America is and what America is at its core seems to be like against your own existence, that's even harder to like really kind of do or wrap your head around. Anyway, yeah, more topics. Let's go to them because this is kind of getting long again. I'm sorry. Okay, next topic. This next topic is definitely more personal and in real life kind of stuff. And the person I'm talking about might actually watch this, and if they do, they're really cool and really pretty and they have lots of great style. I really wanted to compliment you on your makeup the last time I saw you, or it might have been, depending on when this goes up. But I have a really hard time like complimenting in real life because it always feels like then people are going to notice what I just complimented on myself, and I want to draw attention away from that. So it really sucks because I want to compliment everybody on stuff. But anyway, so I work at like several different Walmarts and other grocery stores and things like that. And of all of them, there's only really one person that's wanted to talk to me consistently. And more than just like, hey, what are you doing? And all that bullshit. This person in question has a lot of cool hobbies and really cool tattoos. And I don't know, they're just cool, okay? But, I see them like once a week sometimes, but then their schedule kind of changed. And now they are probably going to be finding a new job soon and not working at that Walmart anymore. So I wouldn't see them anymore. And I was kind of like, oh, well, I would like to be friends and possibly watch anime together with like websites like rab.it. So then we exchanged phone numbers and then texted a little bit. And I wasn't sure from all the times that I've interacted with them if they knew that I was trans or not, and if that would be a problem or not. And there was kind of like this internal dilemma of dialogue going on in my brain. I even asked my cis and trans friends about it because I've kind of never been in this position before. So like, question is, do I let them know that I'm trans before like I really start to converse with them a lot more than just when I met them at like Walmart once a week? And or if they don't know that I'm trans, do I just not bring it up and continue to basically present myself how I have been, not knowing if they know that I'm trans and don't care, or them thinking that I'm cis? And the latter is a problem because like I really don't feel like I pass very well, and there's inevitably going to be that moment where a person is like looking at me all shifty eyes and they're like, wait, are you blank, or were you born blank, or like whatever? And like that's gonna be a really upsetting and debilitating moment. And I figured, you know what, going back to authenticity, it's better just to be myself. It's better just to be honest with who I am. I was just worried about like telling them at the time because like I thought maybe if they don't like that, if they're like transphobic, then they might really choose to give me a hard time and harass me possibly while I'm working. But from every other interaction I've had with them, they don't seem like the person that would do that at all. I think it's just like my own internalized transphobia and like nervousness and worries and stuff like that. But I don't have to worry about whether or not they know if I'm trans, because they texted me on their day off and they asked me about a couple things, like what I was up to and stuff like that. And I mentioned my YouTube, and then I shared the link. And then they didn't respond. And they haven't responded for several days. And I don't know if I should be like, hey, how's it going? I guess like I should. I'll probably wait until it's like their next day off, which I know as well. But like, I don't know the etiquette around that. Like, do I just keep waiting, or like, it has it there? If you see my channel, you can figure out pretty quickly that I'm trans, pretty openly trans, actually. Just not in real life, because I'm terrified. But, yeah, maybe in the next week, I'll be talking about how they reacted. Well, that'd be interesting. I hope it's good stuff. I really need some real life friends, that's for sure. Yeah, I think that's it for that one. So let's go on to the next topic. Alright. A couple of days ago, I'm not sure how long ago at this point, there was a shooting at 2 mosques, I believe, in New Zealand, and I tried to kind of stay away from it. And this is going to be all opinion because I didn't look into the specifics of the events to know exactly what happened, like how many people were killed, when it was happening, and who did it, and things like that. But there's been a lot of reactions around it. Important reactions that I think people should understand. And other ones that it seems like people are sometimes just stirring the pot of whatever. I threw my hat into the ring like a lot of people did. It's their own opinion. And mine was, you know, the people that are vilifying or defending meme culture, like as a whole, it's whatever. Like, people that are good and bad both make memes. Memes are just inside jokes. But it's what people find like really toxic, awful things funny that memes become really bad. I'm not really gonna get into that. But if you are like enabling, promoting, supporting, or just spreading any kind of hate or bigotry, like, it's going to breed animosity within people's like thoughts and feelings, and that animosity is just gonna kind of like grow inside until it finds an outlet. It'll be searching for some kind of release outlet. And like, basically what it is that hate online isn't just online. We've seen that over and over and over again. Like, I don't know if it was a decade ago or like several years ago, because I'm old and I don't remember things. But when people are like, you know, cyberbullying is real and it has real life outside of internet, like, what's it called? Consequences. But not only that, like, the internet and just being connected to the world is such like a part of like most people's modern lives now that whether you want it or not, your online presence is going to affect you in offline spaces. And certainly that is the case with here. It has been happening over and over again. And because now I'm more like sensitive and open and learning from Twitter and like people around me that are in marginalized groups about like these problems that have actually been happening for a long time, but now they're much more to light and like people are actually seeing it. In the case of like when they did the mass nudity ban on Tumblr, and then everybody like jumped ship, and now like Tumblr has so much neo-Nazi white supremacist like garbage on it. The other problem, and I used to watch PewDiePie, and I used to actually like a lot of his stuff. I don't remember how long ago that was, but I never liked when I saw the clip of him on, I think it was PUBG, and I didn't see any of the other things that he's done recently. Like, apparently he's done interviews with really right-wing, terrible people. But thing is, if you have a joke about a sign that says "Kill all Jews," like, you might think, haha, I'm making a funny joke, look at this. But there's someone underneath you that's looking up to you that isn't like, wow, what a funny joke. It's like, yes, I feel justified now in my hate, and I'm glad, and it makes their hate validated, which is very dangerous in people's minds. And it's why so many white cis male people out there feel like they're the marginalized group. And I was definitely a part of that before all of this bullshit. It wasn't so much that I felt smaller, I guess, or unsupported than like other groups, but I just felt like there was nothing special about me, and there was nothing for me to be proud of. But that probably was just because I was dysphoric and I didn't know what that meant. So, you know, kind of whatever. That's what I think is really important that people understand, is that, you know, you may say a joke that's really offensive, and why it's a problem when it's so offensive is that there are people out there that don't see it as a joke. They see it as an opportunity. They see it as a message to them that validates hate. And once hate is validated, then it grows. And then ultimately you end up in situations where people are expressing that hate outwardly to the world. And I don't think that you really have to look very far to kind of see where people have hate and where it's like coming out, and there's hate crimes, and there's racism, and there's sexism, and things like that. In fact, as part of all of this, there was, I guess, a census or a poll that was done, and I didn't save this tweet. I probably should have, now I'm remembering it. It was showing how, like, the general population of different nations around the world think how many people in their country are Muslims. And then it shows, like, how many people actually are. And it's very inflated. Like, people, if they don't like something and they see one thing that they don't like, they won't recognize that as being, it's just, you know, the one person or the one thing out of all these things. They'll see it as like, since I've seen that, that means it's here, that means there's more, that means that this person or this thing or whatever is like much, much larger and almost threatening to them. Like, and I think that's kind of where the hate comes. It comes from fear. And it's misguided, really fucked up fear. And I just think that whoever the shooter was, like, it's crazy that they could live stream it, talk about it, share it in different spaces, have it on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, their manifesto, things like that. And people weren't able to stop it. That just seems crazy to me. And now, what we're kind of going through is that New Zealand is putting in places to really amp up their restrictions on gun legislation. And people are like, it took a day to do that after this massacre. Whereas in the US, I don't remember how many was last year, but I think like last year was basically January at this point. People were like, since January 3rd or 4th or something, they said like, you know, there's been a shooting every single day in the US, and yet we still want to carry guns, we still want to do this and do that. And I think in my previous vlog I talked about the one lady that was really passionate and was scared for her son because they're both people of color, and it's like all these white people that feel like they're the ones oppressed, that have this fear that's hate driven by fear, that want to carry guns, and you know, the moment that they feel threatened, whether it's legitimate or not, they're gonna use them. And that's why there's so much like fucking bullshit, racism, hate crimes and shit. Alright, next topic. This one isn't necessarily connected to being trans or anything. So, Google has kind of, well, it's part of Alphabet, and like it just seems crazy, but when it first like showed up on the scene, it was like so cool and hip and like progressive and all this stuff. And like a lot of the things that they do even to this day are still like fun and stuff, but it really has kind of just become another company that's pretty awful and corrupt and evil. And what's really funny about that is that when it was first founded, part of like the policy or the code of conduct was don't be evil, and that was like something that they kind of tried to internalize. And as I recently learned, I don't know when it was dropped, but company Google decided to drop "Don't be evil" from their code of conduct. So interpret that how you will. It might just be that, no, I got nothing. Why would you have "don't be evil" as like a thing in your code of conduct and then just decide to get rid of it? You know, I really don't like Google all that much anymore. Alright, next topic. Oh, and last topic, so that'll be good. Alright, this one is really sick and twisted. And again, why people, they don't understand trans people and are racists, they're basically Nazis, want to be called race realists. And there's a gender equivalent to that. People that are gender critical. And it's basically just another term for somebody who's transphobic. And wow, they have their own term for people like me. And that is a Tim. And I think it's supposed to be a joke because they think of Tim as being like a man's name. And Tim stands for trans identifying male. It's really garbage. But I'm gonna go ahead and read this and kind of react to it because like it's one of those really toxic things again. Alright, I'm re-recording this because last time I tried doing it, I sort of over-explained for over 20 minutes, and then I started re-recording it, and it started happening again. I need to articulate my thoughts. I was just really tired at that time. But here we go. Alright, so this was in Gender Critical subreddit. And for those that don't know what gender critical means, like, it's the transphobe equivalent of racist race realists. A race realist is just a racist. Gender critical person is just a transphobe. Anyway, they say, how long before biological women start pretending to be Tims? That's an acronym for trans identifying male. It's very, very toxic, but I digress, I'm going in. I mean, think about the advantages. Free male privilege. Once guys know you're a Tim, they'll start treating you with respect they have for their fellow men, albeit with a bit of homophobia. Get taken seriously in meetings. Get seen as a human being. Get paid more and promoted higher. The possibilities are endless, really. No risk of being raped or sexually harassed. No straight guy wants to fuck another man. And even if they did, your sexual harassment complaint, as with all complaints, will be taken much more seriously when it isn't coming from a woman. Everyone will be extra nice to you for fear of being seen as transphobic. Pretending to be a Tim grants a whole laundry list of benefits. Not that I'd ever do it, I have my pride, you see. But if this trans madness keeps up, I'm sure some women will. So the biggest problem with their argument is that trans women are women, not men. If they were men, then I guess this would work, except that it wouldn't. You would be the lowest on the totem pole kind of thing. You have privileges for the things that you are. Trans women, before they start to transition, before they start to be their real selves, may have male privilege, and they probably will just because it exists. But once they transition, that's gone. You're not gonna get that. Why would you get that? You're not male. It makes no sense why they even say this stuff. And then once you understand that, homophobia, that's gonna be women, not men, but here they're talking about men. And then I love the get seen as a human being part, because so many people out there see us as subhumans. And I've I might have said this in my original one, I might have said it earlier in this video, I don't know. But like, people will feel like they have free reign over the genitals of trans people. Like, and I guess it's because people just feel like they have free reign over everyone's genitals. And if they think that they know what they're looking at is someone who was assigned female or male at birth, then they're like, okay, because they can assume that that's what they have downstairs. I don't understand that, but I'm guessing that's what people think, because when they don't know, they for some reason feel the need to invade stalls that trans people are using, or follow trans people into bathrooms just to point out their genitalia. And it's really sick and messed up, and basically, again, treating us like subhumans. There is no, like, male privilege in any of this kind of crap. And as for being raped, like, men aren't the only one that rape people. And trans people get raped just as often as cis people do. You're not gonna have complaints really, like, elevated anyway. For so long, it's been the complete opposite of that. And there's been some really, really bad cases I might bring up at some point, either in another video or something, but trans people get sexually harassed just as often as cis people. And, like, pretending to be trans, like, I don't understand why they would want to do that. Why they think that they would somehow have, like, more rights when we're fighting for our rights right now. And, like, the problems going on in the UK and how people are openly being assaulted and there's being propaganda spread around the cities that is anti-trans, and there's like news outlets that are promoting anti-trans stuff, and there's this and that. Like, it's terrifying to be trans out in the real world. And I don't know why, but I guess because so many people find it okay to be themselves online, they're openly like that. So then they see all this stuff online and they conflate it and think that, like, everyone is just having a good time and out, and like everyone is loving them and like giving them all these gifts or something. It's really, I don't understand it. Especially with like this next part about everyone will be nice to you because they're afraid of being called transphobic. Well, there's plenty of people that are openly transphobic and they have lots of followers and lots of like support, and they're not afraid of it. Plenty of people support them. Like, I don't understand what this means. And then yeah, just this trans madness, I hate it. I've said it before, but like, trans is part of biology because it's not a binary. It's never been a binary, but it's only been most recent that we've been able to study and analyze why like things happen in biology and how they happen. And even more recent that like people that are like that are able to share their stories and then connect and like grow a community online. But yeah, I guess that'll be it. Hopefully that's not 20 minutes. Probably still pretty long though. I'm getting really bad at this now lately. So hopefully next week will be better. But I guess I'll just leave it at that. So, wow. If you stayed till the end, you're a real sweetheart. And take care.